What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
And today on The Great Debaters, taking them back to a little Geto Boys. Alright, everybody. So we're back on The Great Debaters. As always, please hit that subscribe button. As y'all know, it's right down there. That enables us to keep coming to you guys as often as possible with as many interviews as possible, as many great debaters as possible, as many as everything as possible on Unique Access Entertainment. So please hit that subscribe button. Like our content, share it, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one, and we appreciate your guys' support getting us this far. Now today on The Great Debaters, we're going to be picking our top 3 picks from the Geto Boys' We Can't Be Stopped album. Now, Amir, this one came out in 91. The Geto Boys had already gone through so many lineup changes, a lot of controversy, a lot of different labels already, affiliations, remixes, all kinds of madness by the time we get to We Can't Be Stopped. Hence the album title. So for you, Amir, when you were getting to We Can't Be Stopped, what were your thoughts? What were you thinking?
My first thoughts for the album cover. One of the greatest covers ever that wasn't supposed to happen but happened. Shout out J Prince. But just a wild cover and, one of my favorite groups. So I don't remember when I heard this in chronology, if it was in order, if it wasn't. I actually think I did listen to Geto Boys before this. But anyways, this album is my favorite Geto Boys album. Soren and I actually did another Great Debaters on this where we debated, this album versus the Geto Boys. So he'll link that up there so you can, go ahead and click it if you haven't seen it. But anyways, this album is my favorite, and it's hard for me to really pick just 3 songs. But, let's go ahead and just pick one of them. I'm still not even sure, so we'll just start off with Fuck a War. And this album is actually really interesting because this song itself is a Bushwick Bill solo song, and I'll talk about that comment in a little bit, but Fuck a War, to start off with that track, wow. Geto Boys are pretty funny in a lot of their songs. Bushwick Bill, Willie D, and Scarface all have comedy, particularly like Will and Bill, in my opinion. Bushwick Bill really makes me laugh on this song. First off, they set the tone with, the military recruiter calling Bushwick Bill, and he's like laughing during the call, but he's saying, "You ain't hip to what I'm saying, fuck all that bullshit." He's doing what he's doing. And just the things that he says on the song to basically, say why he doesn't want to partake in any war or partake in any sort of army, military, Marines, anything. He's basically, it's just so funny. So he's like, "I ain't getting my leg shot off while Bush old ass on TV playing golf." And it's funny how he's saying, like, "I'm down for a brawl, but I ain't gonna fight over no damn oil." Like, he's down to fight people, but, like, not over no bullshit, right? It's funny because he says he has no beef with foreigners because the enemy is right in front of him. But then in another verse, he says he'll take one look at Iraq and blow a little piece of shit off the map, and he's tired of paying high gas prices. So Bushwick Bill's pretty much all over the place. But it makes for a very entertaining, hilarious, awesome song. And then also Bushwick Bill, he's basically saying, like, "What good is a star when you're dead? Tell Uncle Sam I said fuck a war." Some people, they love the stars, they love the medals, they love all that. Bushwick is not about that life. Fuck a War to me is hilarious. I think it's well executed. I think it perfectly stays on theme. And also the chorus is dope too, where they say, "I ain't, going to war for a shit-talking president. Fuck a war." One of my picks.
All right, Amir, so we're going to diverge here immediately. Not one of my picks, although I do agree with a lot of what Bushwick said. I also disagree with a lot of what Bushwick said, so beyond that, it's just not one of my favorite songs. So I'm going to get into one of my picks, which is, of course, the Monster single. We'll just get that out of the way here right off the top. Mind Playing Tricks on Me. The most popular, most famous, and one of the best, if not the best, Geto Boys songs. Springing off of Mind of a Lunatic from Scarface, his lyrics at least, from Grip It on That Other Level or the Geto Boys, depending on where or which version you listen to. But regardless, this is clearly a masterful song, an iconic song, It gets a lot of play around Halloween, of course, a spike in play given that they reference Halloween, Bushwick with trick or treating, and all the genius that's in the song. But to me, this represents the hallmark of what makes Scarface great, which is these songs examining paranoia, examining fear, and examining what's really going on in not only my mind, but in reality. And Mind Playing Tricks on Me is just a masterful execution of that. And this is also one of the rare songs, unfortunately, that we get all three members of the Geto Boys lineup at this album on the song. And that really means a lot to me. I love the fact that Scarface has 2 verses and Willie D and Bushwick each have 1. All 4, I think, are stellar. And of course, the sample and the music just plays out well, and the haunting sonics go very well with the macabre theme that we have on the lyrics. So I'm sure Amir has some other stuff to add, so I won't go too far in the Mind Playing Tricks on Me, but masterful song and one of my top 3 picks on Geto Boys Who Can't Be Stopped. What's your second pick, Amir?
So, it is a masterful song. It should be one of my picks. It actually is one of my picks, but I like this album so much that I'm not going to talk about that song. So, that is in my top 3 anyway.
Blasphemy, Amir.
Blasphemy. No, it is in my top 3. It is. You talked about it, so I just love this album. I want to talk about it.
Okay.
But with that being said, it was also interesting how it was supposed to be a Scarface solo track. Jay Prince wanted everyone on it. And I'm happy everyone got on it. And it is one of the rare instances where they're actually all on the album together. As I stated earlier in the video, the Geto Boys as a collective are only on this album together on 3 songs. And you're looking, it's a 14-track album. Geto Boys have 3 songs together. Then Bushwick has 3 solos. Willie D has 3 solos. Scarface has 3 solos. And then you have the Rebel Rap Family intro. And then you have the Punk Bitch Game where they're like at a concert and having all that. So I don't count that as a song. But it's pretty wild as a group album. It's really not totally a group album because there's so much solo material going on. Right. That being said, Scarface also did do this on the Diary with Mind Playing Tricks 9-4, which was awesome. So boom. Love that song. I'm going to talk about another song for my number 2, which I'm going to go ahead and do Quickie, which is a Scarface solo. So Quickie, first of all, that beat is excellent. So I love just Scarface is basically dialing up this one of his girls, and he's basically, trying to set up a quickie, as the song suggests, and as he says, she thought I wanted a long one, but I only wanted a quickie, which I thought was clever and hilarious. But what's hilarious is in attempts of setting up his quick date, he announces to her that he needs to take a shit. He's like, I'm going to take a shit, and after that shit, I'll meet you at 11, like, just such unnecessary dialogue, but Scarface is such a mac, it doesn't really matter. He'll tell her anything, and she's down for a quickie. But I thought that was funny. And then he, finishes his business, and then we have the awkward chorus of the person moaning, which I thought was just weird. It's like, I don't want to really play that in my car. I'm pulling up at a light, and you just hear moaning in the other car. Granted, it doesn't bother me too much because I still play this song heavily. And then we get, the other verse where basically he wants a quickie, but the other girl, she's basically saying, I didn't even, get off. And then she forces him to stay, essentially. And then he's like, well, I guess I got to do business here. And then, he continues. And it's funny because he announces at the end that although she was getting married, I gave her fucking last a lifetime. I'm just like, dude, it's just so funny. So this song, I think Scarface does so well. I think the concept is an easy enough concept. He knocks it out the park. The beat is excellent, and it definitely has replay value. It is a little shorter. I feel like it's in the 3-minute-ish range. But yeah, man, Quickie is I'm picking my number 2.
Quickie's not one of my top 3 picks, although I think it's an awesome song. I also like the fact that they use the same sample that 3 Times Dope used on Funky Dividends.
Yep.
And ironically, both about women, but both very different subject matter, although you could argue in a way maybe not. It's not one of my picks, but for my second pick, I'm going to keep it in the female lane and go with I'm Not a Gentleman. Because I'm Not a Gentleman, we have a lot of In 91, by this point, we've gotten gangster raps in full swing, of course. We've gotten songs that I Ain't the One. We've gotten songs like A Bitch is a Bitch. We've gotten Too Short. We've gotten Schoolie D. We've gotten Ice-T. We've gotten a lot of these songs at this point. But there was still the huge element of rap where it was catering to women, or at least having these love songs and whatever. This song is clearly not one of those. And I just thought I'm Not a Gentleman really did an excellent job of breaking down all the reasons why, and how, you know, by catering to her, he was going to have to sacrifice his comfort or his happiness, and he wasn't about to do that. And that being Willie D. And Willie D let him know. And to me, it was so raw and brutal and unflinching in its rudeness and its brashness that on the one hand I respected him for saying it, on the other hand I thought it was hilarious that he would actually say it, and then on the other hand it was repulsive. So it was kind of like, this guy is what can we say, he's a very opinionated man, and continuing congratulations to Willie D for all the success he's having with Willie D Live. And you know, he had a column in Houston, and you know, Willie D's very insightful man. And this one is one of those takes that's probably an unpopular opinion, as people would say in the sports world, but I definitely think that it's an excellent song, and he argues his point, I think, very articulately.
So that's actually one of the songs that it was fighting. It's in my top 5, and the lyrics on there are just hysterical, where he basically says he won't let her choose a restaurant because she'll find the one most expensive. If you know, she's cold, she's gonna freeze because he ain't taking off his coat, or she's gonna sneeze because he ain't taking off his coat so he can breathe. I'm just like, dude, hysterically funny. Willie D also, I think his voice is great on that song. Just great song. My last pick will be That Other Level, which is another sex tale. This one definitely being a longer song and longer action than Quickie. This is a Bushwick Bill solo. I'm assuming it's a long song now because this is 6 minutes. Bushwick Bill, first off, I really like how artists will kind of break down their slang or their meanings or their jargon or what they're saying, so you don't really have to guess on it. And you see the song title The Other Level, you're like, okay, what's that about? And then Bushwick Bill throughout the song is basically saying what that other level is, which his definition, it's a threesome. So Bushwick Bill is apparently getting, you know, so much action that he's bored of these two finest bitches around, as he's quoted saying. So how can he do stuff that will get him back to that excitement, you know, because he's missing that excitement in his life. And he's like, well, both these girls like me. Maybe I can make them all like each other. And he can have a 3-piece. So, you know, he calls them up. He sets the setting. He says, oh, this one thinks you're cute. This one that, blah, blah, blah. And Bushwick Bill's basically masterminding his other level threesome plan. And Bushwick Bill, it's funny because Bushwick Bill is doing like a little more of a slower flow, but man, I think his storytelling on here is great. I really like how you hear the female voices too, basically saying like, well, I don't have a swimsuit either, like, no one's gonna bite you, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, oh shit, the shit was so dope, I had to take a breather. And then he's basically saying like, I got them so into each other that they forgot I'm right here and I'm butt naked. I'm just like, what? So Bushwick Bill is just really just laying down how his threesome escapade went. And I think it's just a really funny tale and just a dope tale, because I haven't really heard many threesome stories in rap. Not saying I'm actively seeking them, but hearing it on here, I thought it was an excellent job. And it's a hilarious song. I like the beat. I like how the chorus is like, the other damn level, the game, you know, stuff like that. And then he says, I should have won a fucking medal for taking these two bitches to that other level. So, you know, I just like how he has a song name. Soren's busting up. How he has a song name, how he explains what the other level means, and then he gives you the details of what happened on that night or those nights or whatever with, you know, the two women and himself. So I thought it was a very well done rap song, and that's my third pick, and there you go.
All right, not one of my picks, but I appreciate Amir's enjoyment of it. My third and final pick is Gotta Let Your Nuts Hang. And that one is because, to me, and what I like the most about the Geto Boys is this forcefulness, this, power. And that song, I think, best encapsulates that on We Can't Be Stopped, in my opinion. I just think forcefully, lyrically, I think the beat works extremely well with it. It's one of my favorite beats on the album. And I also just think that this is the Geto Boys, or this shows what I like most about the Geto Boys. That sticking your chest out there, being like hardcore, being the tough guy and all that stuff. And that really appeals to me about the Geto Boys. And to me, Gotta Let Your Nuts Hang is the best example of that on We Can't Be Stopped. So,
well, and that too, another thing that I really like about that song also is that in the opening lines, and Scarface was a huge influence on many people. One person he was also a huge influence on was Tupac, rest in peace. And I love how in the opening lines, I believe it's the opening lines, he says, boom, boom, boom with your black ass. And then on Strictly for My Brother's album by Tupac, I believe on the song Point the Finger, he samples boom, boom, boom with your black ass. So I always love how Tupac, did that, and he paid respect to Scarface on many occasions, and Scarface obviously did that back. But that's another great song. I'm happy Soren brought that up. And honestly, I could go the other gentleman, or I'm Not a Gentleman, and I'm not, Mind Playing Tricks on Me is really just like my favorite song, but I just have to talk about these other gems that I like, because I love this album, man. I have to talk about it more, but those are my picks.
Well, there it is, y'all. So, you have my top 3 picks. You have Amir's. As always, hit us up in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Also, subscribe to Unique Access, please, so we can keep growing, get to be a bigger channel, and reach more people around the world. And we appreciate you guys helping us get this far. I'm Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
The Great Debaters, y'all. Shout out to the Geto Boys. H-Town in the house.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
What's that 5 on Yo MTV Best with NWA?
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.